takeaway. This session is looking at the History Controlled Assessment. We're focusing on what was the impact of My Lai. In your answer, it's important to focus on the demands of the question. The question says, what was the impact of My Lai? Look at the wording in the question. The key word is impact. What was the impact of My Lai? Not what happened at My Lai. The key skill is consequence, and we've got to address what the effects of the events at My Lai were. So as I said, think about what the examiner is looking for. Do focus on impact. Think about different types of impact. Is it a political impact? Is it a personal impact? Is it a long-term impact? Think about who was affected. Think about the different groups. Okay? It's not just about one type of impact. And try to think about relative importance. Are all the types of impact of the same significance, or are some more important than others? Also, use a source to back up every point that you make. And remember, don't describe what happened. So, think about how can you do this? Well, what was the impact of My Lai on the different people involved? So think about the villagers. How did those events affect the villagers either in the short term or in the longer term? Think about the Viet Cong. How were they able to use the events at My Lai? Don't just think about the Vietnamese. Think about the Americans. How did it affect Charlie Company? What about the soldiers that went in there and did what they did, or witnessed what other members of Charlie Company were doing? What about the US Army in general? How did that affect the way they conducted the operations in Vietnam? Think about American society. How did they respond when they found out about the events at My Lai? And what about the peace movement? Does it have an impact on the peace movement? Does it change things? Also think about US strategy. Does it stay the same, or does My Lai have an effect on how the Americans conducted the war? And finally, think about the long-term impact. Has it affected the way the American Army operates today? Okay, we need to think about how we actually put the essay together. Think about planning it, and think carefully about how you're going to write. For each factor, I think you should be using the P plan. Think about describing the type of impact. Think about categorising it. Is it personal? Is it political? Is it long-term? Evaluate the importance of the impact. Make sure that comes through. And finally, make sure you do illustrate each point by referring to a source. Having a really good plan is important. In the controlled assessment, you're allowed to take in a single side of A4 piece of paper with that plan written on it. You're also allowed to bring in 2 sides of notes to support that. Make sure you have a clear introduction, make sure you've got a main text and worked out what you're going to say in each paragraph, and make sure you have a good final and strong conclusion. Okay, I now want to focus on the importance of a conclusion. There's real marks here because it's where you finish your question and you directly answer it. The examiners always pay a lot of attention to what you write in your conclusion. Have a view. Make sure you've answered the question directly. Make sure you use that word impact in there. And make sure your conclusion reflects what you said in your essay. The 2 things must not contradict each other. I hope this presentation has been really clear and that you've now got a good idea of what you need to do. And good luck with writing your controlled assessment.